Here is the very first line of De Rerum Natura by Lucretius. Aeneadum genetrix hominum divumque voluptas. Introductions in classical epic poetry are important. First words, first lines, first sections often accentuate the meaning and the message of the work as a whole. This is the first line of the first book and is part of a traditional introduction in which the poet calls upon a divinity for help, guidance, or inspiration. In the last video, we focused only on the first two words of the poem, Aeneadum genetrix, a clue to whom Lucretius is addressing. These words have been translated as Mother of Rome, Mother of the Roman race, and Mother of Aeneas's people. We also considered the possible meaning contained in the very first word, Aeneadum, which gets lost in English. It seems that this word contains the story of Aeneas and his journey from Troy to Italy. It might also represent an evolution from Greek to Roman, if we consider the strange word form itself. And it may ultimately express the literary tradition from Homer to Ennius, one of the first Roman epic poets, to Lucretius, the next to take up this poetic tradition. How might this be significant to the work as a whole? This is something for us to explore, especially since Lucretius is transmitting the philosophy of a Greek man named Epicurus through this poem to a Roman audience. So let's try to understand the rest of this line. Let's start with the word voluptas, because the grammar tells us that this word is connected to genetrix. Voluptas, voluptatis, is a feminine noun. Classical Latin pronunciation gives the letter V a W sound. My pronunciation isn't always the best, but I will use the classical pronunciation. Also, Latin nouns are always listed in the dictionary with two forms. It helps us identify the different forms the noun can take. If you're interested in learning more about the grammar, you should enroll in my Latin class at latinclass.org. Possible translation of this word includes satisfaction, enjoyment, pleasure, and delight. We might also compare this to another Latin word, volo, a verb used to express wish, wanting, and willingness. I mentioned that this word is grammatically connected to genetrix. They're both in the same case form, the vocative case used when calling on somebody. That suggests that voluptas is a further description of genetrix. P. Michael Brown, the author of one of the commentaries I'm looking at, likes the translation pleasure because of its connection with Epicurean philosophy. The idea that pleasure is the motivating force behind creativity, both sexual and artistic, as well as the importance of the pursuit of pleasure. But I'm not going to devote time in this video to Epicureanism and pleasure. I'd suggest, if you're interested, to look it up online or Wikipedia. Understanding the philosophy will help you understand the poem. Personally, and this is strictly personally, I don't want to use the word pleasure because of the negative associations that seem to come along with it in English. I was thinking about this earlier, and it might just be me, but pleasure seems to carry with it a dark side of hedonism, indulgence, and possibly selfishness. It may be Christianity that has influenced this word, but I prefer delight, since I think it might capture better the original idea, especially when we start to think about the philosophy and what Epicurus wanted us to achieve. Let's move on to the last two words in this line, hominum divumque. In the dictionary, these words are listed as homo, hominis. It's a masculine or feminine noun that can be translated as human or mankind, I think is probably a better way of doing it. Divus, divi, a masculine noun that can be translated as God or deity, something along those lines. Once again, we need to understand Latin grammar to understand the transformation of these words and how it affects the meaning. These words are in the plural and genitive case forms. Again, this is something you can learn more about in my class. I think the concept of plural versus singular is clear, but for our purposes now, the genitive is used to express possession and can be easily translated into English using the word of. The genitive plural form of homo is hominum and can be translated of men. And this form of divus is divorum, translated as of gods. And of course, Lucretius likes to use old-fashioned forms, as if Latin isn't old enough, and he uses a form of divorum that Ennius and the old poets like to use, divum. He then links these two words with a conjunction que, which is what we call an enclitic because it attaches itself to the end of words, as we see here. It has the same meaning as the Latin word et, meaning and. We'll see this enclitic used a lot in the poem. To better understand how it works, this is how we would use it in English if we could. Mother father que, meaning mother and father, or cat dog que, meaning cat and dog. And so we could translate hominum divum que as of men and of gods. But words in the genitive don't make sense on their own. They are used to further describe another word, in this case, voluptas. Together we get the phrase, delight of men and of gods. And now we can translate the entire line. William Leonard translated this line as, Mother of Rome, delight of gods and men. Stallings translated it as Mother of Aeneas and of Rome, pleasure of men and gods. And Smith translated it as Mother of Aeneas's people, delight of human beings and the gods. I like that he translated hominum as human beings. I think that captures the intent. How would you translate this line? I'd like to see. Put it in the comments. Next time we will cover the second line. There Lucretius will reveal the name of the deity he is calling on, the mother of the Roman people and the delight of humans and gods.